Good morning, y'all. It is Wednesday, April the 23rd, and I want to start this one by asking you to do something for me. I want you to take everything you know about this week's severe weather, Thursday's outbreak from Oklahoma to Minnesota, Friday's ArcLaTex setup, the ongoing multi-day sequence that has been grinding through the central United States, and I want you to set all of that to the side for the next few minutes. Because as serious as Thursday and Friday are, and they are serious, and I have dedicated full forecast videos to both of them, there is a completely separate storm system arriving this weekend that forecasters are now describing as potentially more dangerous than anything that has come before it in this entire multi-day sequence. And I am not saying that to manufacture drama. I am saying it because the data says it. The SPC is already considering a 30% severe weather risk for Sunday across the southern plains. Ensemble probability maps are showing 80 to 90% probability of severe weather parameters coming together across Oklahoma and Texas on both Sunday and Monday. The Tennessee Valley and Dixie Alley, regions that have experienced a mercifully quiet spring so far, are staring down a 50 to 70% analog probability of at least one significant severe weather report during the April 24th through 27th window. And professional storm chasers who have been tracking this setup for days are already describing the jet stream configuration for this weekend as a, quote, high-end severe weather look. Y'all, this weekend's storm is about to get serious. And every person across the southern plains, Oklahoma, Texas, Arkansas, Tennessee, Alabama, Mississippi, and Louisiana needs to understand that before Saturday morning arrives. Let me explain what is happening here meteorologically, because this is not the same storm system as Thursday and Friday. This is an entirely different, separate, and by current model indications, stronger system. And understanding why it is separate and why it is stronger is the key to understanding why this weekend demands its own full level of preparation, rather than being treated as an afterthought to what has already been an exhausting week. The system driving Thursday and Friday's severe weather is the upper low that has been sitting over the northern high plains, gradually lifting into Canada and dragging its embedded shortwave troughs across the central plains as it goes. That system is real. It is producing real severe weather. And it is not a throwaway event. But it is a system whose energy is rotating around a parent low that is already lifting northward and exiting the picture. By Saturday, its influence over the southern plains is going to be diminishing as the cold front it is dragging pushes through. Into that setting, into a southern plains warm sector that has just been primed by Thursday and Friday's moisture surge, onto a landscape that has been repeatedly loaded with Gulf moisture all spring. A second and entirely independent storm system is arriving from the west. This one is being driven by a low-latitude trough dropping into southern California, and then swinging eastward across the southern tier of the country. And the configuration of this second system, the way the polar jet and the subtropical jet are interacting over the central United States this weekend, is what the ensemble data is flagging with those extraordinary probability numbers. 80 to 90% probability of basic severe weather parameters converging across the southern plains. The highest probability zone centered across central and southern Oklahoma, North Texas, and the Dallas corridor. The potent subtropical jet stream interacting with a wavy polar jet and trough system over the central United States, what the analysis is describing as the classic late April configuration that historically produces the most dangerous and organized severe weather outbreaks across the southern plains and deep south. That is the atmospheric setup for Sunday. And right now, with 4 days of lead time, the models are already telling us clearly and consistently what kind of environment is going to be in place when that system arrives. I want to spend real time on Sunday specifically, because Sunday, April 26th, is the day that has my fullest and most serious attention as I sit here this morning. The SPC's Day 6 outlook, which covered Sunday, was already showing a 15% severe weather probability zone, tightening and repositioning across Oklahoma and the surrounding southern plains, with forecasters explicitly considering an upgrade to 30%. A 30% probability in an SPC Day 6 outlook is not a casual flag. The SPC uses those numbers carefully and conservatively. And a 30% risk at Day 6, 5 days before the event, carries an enormous amount of meteorological weight. It is the kind of number that says the forecasting community is not hedging. The forecasting community is not saying this might happen. The forecasting community is saying they believe significant severe weather across this corridor on Sunday is likely, and that the specific ingredients for tornadoes, very large hail, and destructive winds are aligning in a way that is well above the threshold they need to see to start drawing risk areas at elevated probabilities. Let me give you the specific atmospheric profile the models are painting for Sunday, because I want to put real numbers on this threat rather than just adjectives. The mu-Kp values, that is the most unstable convective available potential energy, the measure of how much thermodynamic fuel the atmosphere has available for the strongest storm updrafts, that the ensemble data is showing for the Sunday threat zone across central and southern Oklahoma and North Texas are running in the 2,500 to 3,500 joule per kilogram range. Layer on top of that a jet stream configuration that is producing deep layer wind shear values in the 40 to 55 knot range across the warm sector, with the maximum wind shear and atmospheric divergence zones positioned directly over the highest instability areas. In plain terms, what that means is that the environment for supercell thunderstorm development on Sunday is not just favorable. According to the ensemble data, it is favorable with the kind of consistency and overlap of ingredients that historically, when it verifies, produces long-track, significant tornadoes. And when the SPC looks at a setup like that 5 days out and starts drawing 30% risk areas, they are telling every forecaster in the country to take it seriously. I am taking it seriously. And I need y'all to take it seriously too. Now let me tell you about Monday, April 27th, because the threat does not stop Sunday night. It shifts. The severe weather focus on Monday is going to migrate eastward from the southern plains into Dixie Alley, into Alabama, Mississippi, Louisiana, Tennessee, and the surrounding Deep South states. And here is what makes Monday's threat particularly noteworthy and particularly concerning in the context of this entire spring season. The Tennessee Valley and the broader Dixie Alley corridor has been unusually, almost anomalously quiet in terms of severe weather so far in 2026. The jet stream's average position this spring has been centered over the Midwest and the northern half of the severe weather corridor, leaving much of the Deep South in a relatively protected position behind a persistent ridge. That ridge is now breaking down. And when a region that has been quiet all spring, that has not had its emergency managers actively running severe weather operations week after week, that has not had its communities in a sustained state of readiness, suddenly finds itself in the path of a significant severe weather setup. The preparation gap is wider than it is in a place like Oklahoma or Illinois that has been on high alert for months. The analog probability data for the Tennessee Valley and Deep South corridor is striking. 50 to 70% probability of at least one significant severe weather report within the Tennessee, Mississippi, Alabama, Arkansas, and Kentucky area during the April 24th through 27th window. The highest values, 60 to 70%, concentrated across exactly the communities that have had the quietest spring: Memphis, Nashville, Birmingham, Jackson, Baton Rouge. These are not communities that have been running through their shelter plans every week for a month. These are communities where a lot of people woke up this morning thinking about other things because it has been a quiet spring in their neighborhood. I am talking directly to those communities right now. This weekend and Monday's threat is real. It is documented. It is coming. And the time to prepare is not Saturday afternoon when the watches are already being issued. It is today. I want to spend a moment on something that gets lost in the sequence of storm coverage when you are tracking as many systems as we have been tracking this month. And that is the specific and elevated risk posed by this weekend's setup to communities with a high proportion of mobile homes and manufactured housing. I talk about this every time a significant tornado setup targets the Deep South and the Southern Plains because it matters profoundly and because it directly determines how survivable a tornado is for the families in its path. Mobile homes and manufactured houses, even the most modern and well-anchored ones, offer dramatically less protection against tornado winds than a site-built home. A tornado that would cause cosmetic roof damage to a site-built structure can completely destroy a manufactured home. And unfortunately, across much of the Deep South corridor that is going to be in Monday's path, the proportion of manufactured housing is significantly higher than the national average. If you live in a manufactured home or mobile home anywhere in the threat zone for this weekend's setup, Oklahoma, Texas, Arkansas, Tennessee, Alabama, Mississippi, Louisiana, I'm asking you right now to identify where your community's public shelter is. Find the location, know how to get there, know what time it opens, and make a plan to be there before Sunday evening storms arrive, not scrambling to find it when the tornado warning is already issued. The hail threat from Sunday's setup also deserves its own dedicated attention, because the cape and lapse rate profile assembling for the southern plains on Sunday is one that supports very large hail growth in a significant way. When you have mu-KP values in the 2500 to 3500 joule range combined with very steep mid-level lapse rates, meaning temperature drops rapidly with altitude, which supercharges updraft intensity, the hailstones growing inside the most intense supercell updrafts can reach extraordinary sizes before the updraft finally releases them. In the strongest supercells this Sunday, golf ball-sized hail, 1 3/4 inches, is likely across a broad area. Baseball-sized hail, 2 3/4 inches, is a genuine possibility in the cores of the most intense storms across the bullseye threat zone in central and southern Oklahoma and North Texas. And I want to be completely clear about what that means practically for people with vehicles parked outside. Baseball-sized hail falls at terminal velocities approaching 60 to 80 miles per hour. It will shatter your windshield. It will destroy your roof. It will dent sheet metal so severely that vehicles are written off as total losses. If you are in the threat zone and you have covered parking available, a garage, a carport, a covered parking structure, please use it before Sunday afternoon. The time to think about protecting your vehicle is before the hail is already falling, not after. Let me also address the flash flooding component of this weekend's setup directly, because it is going to be significant and it is going to be dangerous. And it is going to affect people who are not necessarily thinking about flooding when they hear a severe thunderstorm is coming. The Southern Plains and the Arc Latex region have been receiving rounds of heavy rainfall throughout April. The soil moisture across much of Oklahoma, Arkansas, and the surrounding states is elevated. River and stream gauges that were already running above normal after the April 13 to 17 outbreak and the subsequent rounds of rain are going to be receiving still more input from Thursday and Friday's events before Sunday's system even arrives. By the time Sunday's storms fire over an already saturated landscape, any heavy rainfall associated with training thunderstorms or slow-moving supercells has the potential to cause flash flooding that develops extremely rapidly. The Oklahoma City Metro, the Tulsa Corridor, the river valleys of eastern Oklahoma and western Arkansas, the lowlands of northern Louisiana, these are all areas where I want people watching the water actively, not passively, through the weekend. And I need to say it again because I will keep saying it until people internalize it. Do not drive through water on a road. Turn around. Every single time, no exceptions. The two deadliest words in severe weather season are not tornado warning. They are not flash flood watch. They are the words people say to themselves before driving into moving water. I'll make it. Please do not say those words. Please, just turn around. Here's what I need every person in the Southern Plains, Oklahoma, Texas, Arkansas, Tennessee, Alabama, Mississippi, and Louisiana to do before Saturday morning. Today, Wednesday, not Friday. Today. First, identify your shelter location and physically check it. If it is a basement, make sure it is accessible and not flooded from previous rains. If it is an interior room on the lowest floor of a site-built structure, make sure it is clear and accessible. If you live in a manufactured home, find your community's public shelter right now and bookmark the location on your phone. Second, if there is anyone in your life in the threat corridor who you know has not been paying attention to the forecast, a parent, a sibling, a neighbor, a friend, reach out to them today personally and make sure they know that Saturday, Sunday, and Monday are high alert days. The All Squad community reaches millions of people across this exact geographic corridor. But there are people in every one of these communities who are not going to find this video on their own. You are the bridge between this information and them. Please be that bridge. Share this video right now. Third, if you do not have Y'all Call set up, please do it before Saturday. The overnight tornado threat from this weekend's setup is real, and it is documented in the data. Sunday evening into Sunday night is going to be an active, potentially violent, severe weather window, and the low-level jet strengthening overnight is the same ingredient that has produced the most dangerous nighttime tornado events of this entire spring season. A direct phone call to your number when a tornado warning polygon covers your exact location is the tool that wakes you up when nothing else will. $14.95 for a full year of coverage. Link is in the description. Please set it up today. I'm going to have a dedicated forecast video for this weekend's setup out by Friday morning when I have a sharper picture of Sunday's specific threat corridor, the exact timing of storm initiation, and the overnight component into Sunday night and Monday. Every piece of new information that the models give me between now and Sunday, you are going to hear about on this channel. And when these storms fire on Sunday, I will be live, right here, tracking every storm, every warning, every tornado report, every flooding report, all the way through until every community in the path of this setup is safely on the other side of it. That is the commitment. That is what this channel does. That is what the Y'all Squad is built on. Texas and the Southern Plains have been quiet all spring. The quiet is about to end this weekend, and it is going to end with one of the most significant severe weather setups of the 2026 season, targeting a region that has not been battle-tested this year yet. The data is clear, the signal is strong, the preparation window is right now. Please share this video immediately with everyone in the threat zone. Stay engaged with me through the weekend. Set up Y'all Call before Saturday, and I will be right here with all of you every step of the way. Stay safe out there. I love y'all.